Good evening, everyone. A little over 2 weeks ago, our fellow classmate, Marilyn Laura, made an argument proposing that the radio frequency radiation emitted by cell phones did not lead to increased rates of brain cancer, as well as having no other negative health effects. She supported this with three minor claims. That brain tumor rates had not increased with the size of the cell phone industry, that radio frequency radiation was too weak to cause any harm, and that numerous health organizations had already proposed that cell phones were safe. Tonight, however, I would like to make a slightly different proposition. I propose that this main claim regarding the effects of cell phone radiation on brain cancer is not in debate, and that what should be discussed is the other potentially bodily harm that can come about with cell phone use. And I will do this by addressing 3 points. Firstly, the initial argument made lacks several key parts of Brock-Reed's model of good argumentation. Secondly, the advocate has completely misplaced their focus away from what is currently debated by the scientific community. And lastly, I will discuss how the radio frequency radiation produced by cell phones can, as well as other aspects of cell phones, does have other adverse effects on our bodies. My first point was that the advocate's argument failed to serve as an argument. According to Brock-Reed's model of good argumentation, two key characteristics of a good argument are an inferential leap to the conclusion, an uncertainty in the subject, and the conclusions that are being argued, which is unfortunately lacking from the advocate's argument. The National Cancer Institute, which was referenced by the advocate, as well as numerous other revered health organizations, such as WHO and the FDA, state that the IARC classification means that there could be some cancer risk associated with radio frequency energy, but the evidence is not strong enough to be considered causal and needs to be investigated further. So a wide variety of organizations have all come to the same conclusion that cell phone radiation does not lead to brain cancer. The advocate's argument is also lacking in an inferential leap, as with the abundant numerical evidence that she provides doesn't really lead to anywhere. It is simply a display of the fact that cell phone radiation is non-ionizing, which does bring into question the legitimacy of the argument and whether it is even an argument in the first place. Secondly, I'd like to discuss how the advocate has kind of misplaced their focus on this issue and discuss the current focus of most health organizations. The advocate's argument states that organizations have proclaimed cell phone radiation to be safe, and most organizations do agree that there is no causal link between cell phone radiation and brain cancer. Both the FCC and the National Cancer Institute detail how most research on the topic has slowed, with the most prominent study at the moment being a 20 to 30 year long experiment called Cosmos. So to many health organizations, the focus has shifted. As Time magazine details, reports from the California Department of Public Health link long-term heavy use of cell phones to brain cancer, tumors of the acoustic nerve and salivary glands, lower sperm count, headaches, and effects on learning, memory, hearing, behavior, and sleep. We can see that there has been a shift in the scientific community on this topic, away from being brain cancer and more towards other health effects, which were not discussed at all by the advocate. Finally, I wanted to address some of the other health issues that may also be caused by cell phone radiation. One major health effect that is rising to prominence in the sphere of optometry is that of blue-violet light. As optician Andy Hepworth reports to the BBC, blue-violet light is potentially hazardous and toxic to the back of your eyes, so over a long period of time it can potentially damage your eyes. Optometrists such as Hepworth report that blue-violet light can lead to macular degeneration, which is a leading cause of blindness. Another negative health effect that may occur due to use of cell phones is less numerous in lower quality sperm in men, with a study from the Central European Journal of Urology reporting that sperm exposed to cell phone radiation has higher levels of non-progressive movement and more DNA fragmentation. All of these show that cell phones do have negative health impacts, just not necessarily when it comes to brain cancer, which was the only topic discussed by the advocate. Overall, the advocate's claims fail to constitute an argument, as they lack key pieces necessary to a good argumentation, have misplaced focus on the issue to an issue that is not currently in question, and ignore other potential effects of the subject being discussed. And I hope that you all agree with me that this is in fact a discussion that we should have, but for the moment its focus has been misplaced. Thank you.
All right, Ian, that's a very nice example of an argument that addresses the question of whether or not we have, in fact, encountered an argument. And your suggestion that there isn't really a dispute on the issue of brain cancer is nicely explained by documenting that there is near unanimity, or at least as far as you can tell, there is complete unanimity by the scientific groups that there is no brain cancer risk. So all the advocate is doing here is presenting factual data, not drawing an inference. And I thought you explained that pretty well. The notion that there are, in fact, risks associated with using cell phones, and that's where there might be some dispute and room for and grounds for an argument, I think is an interesting counterpoint to that, and suggesting that these problems exist and that they require us to be discussing them suggests that there may be controversy on the subject, but it's all controversy that the advocate missed, and so as a consequence that even more shows that there is not really a dispute that is being presented argumentatively. And there's a lot of information here about other kinds of issues that are being presented. I think those are fine. It demonstrates that there is controversy on the subject in other ways. That we could be debating those kinds of issues. I think you do kind of have an argument toward the end that says, this is where our focus should be. We've missed the boat with this particular argument, and so it shouldn't be given much credence. And I thought you had a very good summary at that point. You basically kind of create your own structure for the argument, which, given the fact that you're not really refuting the specifics of the advocate's points, makes sense. And I think that the way you explained the way these points relate to what the advocate presented, you were pretty consistent about doing it on each of the individual points. So thank you.